Herc, Ale, especially Ale, it's just what you asked for. Another MLS bracket eliminator. This time winding us up to the most important answer of all. Who is the worst signing in MLS history? And we have a great or terrible list of names. Here they are. The top eight, bottom eight, whatever you want to call them. Nery Castillo, Rafa Marquez, Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard, Denilson, Marcelo Gallardo, Freddy Adu, and Lothar Matthäus. Those are your quarter finalists. We'll go one by one. Each of you will give us your winner for the worst, and we'll eventually work our way to the final where, no surprise, if there is a tie, will get the decisive. I have to keep some control somewhere in all of this. All right, boys, you ready?
Sure.
Yes.
All right, the first quarterfinal goes to Herculez. It is a all-Mexican affair. Nery Castillo, Rafa Marquez. Let me give you the tale of the terrible tape. Nery Castillo signed in 2010 for a guaranteed salary of $1.8 million in 2010 MLS dollars. That's crazy. He had 8 appearances, 0 goals, and 0 assists. Rafa Marquez lasted a little longer, didn't do much more. $15 million DP. He got a 3-year deal. They won 0 trophies. He had 1 goal across those 3 seasons, but he did, Herc, have 2 playoff red cards. Nery Castillo, Rafa Marquez. Who is the worst signing?
It's Rafa Marquez. You look at Rafa Marquez and all he was, coming from Barcelona, coming to the New York Red Bulls, that huge DP signing. I believe out of the possible 73 games, he ended up playing 35. And a lot of that had to do to injury, but also indiscipline. I mean, his form on the field, there was one after the other of indiscipline and these crazy actions. Then it was him lashing out at his teammates, saying he wasn't accustomed to playing with that level or that caliber of player. By the way, Thierry Henry was on his team, by the way. It's just one after the other with Rafa Marquez. We heard more about him off the field than we did on the field. It was so bad after his time there. Rafa Marquez, instead of owning up to it, says, you know what? It was a huge mistake. I regret it. I should never have gone. I think a lot of people regret Rafa Marquez in New York, and he shouldn't be one of them.
All right, Rafa Marquez moved into the semifinals of our worst MLS signing all time. Next quarterfinal belongs to you, Ale. This is the OG category, okay? Lothar Matthäus against Freddy Adu. Matthaus was the Ballon d'Or FIFA Player of the Year winner when he, not reigning, but had it on his resume when he came to MLS. He hurt his back, and then he went to rehab. The only difference is maybe the term rehab was different because he was actually in the French Riviera while he was supposedly in rehab. He lasted just the 1 season with the MetroStars. Freddy Adu, do I need to tell the story? Signed at 14 years old. Everybody knows the potential, or I should say the reported potential. And then what happened? Ale, you've talked about Freddy Adu plenty in this space. Who is the worst signing, Adu or Lothar Matthäus?
First, let me go back to Nery Castillo. I didn't even remember Nery Castillo had been in Major League Soccer.
He was on loan, yeah.
Honestly, when I saw the list and said Nery Castillo, I was like, Nery Castillo? When was he in MLS?
You were playing in the league.
And I was a player at the time.
Yeah.
So clearly, he did not make an impression. Freddy Adu, it's not his fault that MLS signed him. It's not his fault that MLS pushed him the way that MLS did, and they put him out there and had this sort of carnival and circus going around Freddy Adu because you're dependent on that attention and you're wanting to get more eyes and more people interested in the product of Major League Soccer. Now, I would say that Freddy Adu did not handle that spotlight very well. Can you really blame him as to how young he was? I think he took full advantage, and not in a positive way, of that spotlight, and clearly his talent, I think, suggested that could have been more than what he became as a player, and that's on him individually. But MLS has a lot of responsibility as a league, and people, decision makers for Major League Soccer, also have a lot of responsibility in this. So I'm not going to say Freddy Adu. He cannot be the worst signing at 14 years old. Lothar Matthäus was definitely a worse signing than Freddy Adu, and he defined what a retirement league was. He clearly took full advantage of what being Lothar Matthäus was at that time. And what I think makes the most difference for me is that he was doing things in Major League Soccer that he would never have done at any other clubs that he played for in Europe, or would have never would have done for the German national team. This whole idea of rehabbing at Saint-Tropez, this whole idea of disrespecting his professionalism and really making Major League Soccer a joke. And not taking it seriously, not buying into it, not embracing the challenges of Major League Soccer at the time. Lothar Matthäus by far a worse signing than Freddy, and he clearly moves on to the next round.
There he is, Lothar Matthäus, the German, into the semifinals. Final, Herc, back to you. Oof. This is a good one from your playing days as well. Steven Gerrard, Frank Lampard. All right, Steven Gerrard made $9 million in 18 months work with the LA Galaxy. They won 0 trophies during that time. They were coming off, by the way, winning MLS Cup the year before, 2014. He had 5 goals in 34 appearances. Lampard makes $6 million a year. Remember, he showed up late because he was with Manchester City. He had played an extra season with them. And then in 2016, who could forget, he left mid-season to do Euros coverage for the BBC. All right, so you got 2 English choices there. Who you taking?
I can't believe you put Freddy Adu in the worst signing, by the way. That's the last time. It's him and Wayne Rooney the last time I've really heard DC United as a relevant club in what is North America. So I can't believe you put him on there. Really quick, this is a tough one because it's not like they were bad DPs. You know what I mean? But they just weren't great DPs. They were somewhere along in the middle. So I'd almost just have to give this a slight edge to Frank Lampard. If you look at it, what was it? He scored 15 goals and 29 assists, and he had 15 goals and 29 appearances and 4 assists. It wasn't a bad output. He was efficient towards that second half of the season that he played. If I look at the 2, I'd have to give the slight edge because Gerrard had 14 assists. It also wasn't a bad, output. Just slightly to Frank.
Very well.
Moved on.
Frank moves on.
Okay, so Frank Lampard moves on. Very well, then we'll put Frank into your semifinal. All right, the last quarterfinal, this one's for you. Denilson or Marcelo Gallardo? Again, this is from some of your contemporaries, your heyday in MLS. You were hanging banners. These guys were not.
No, they were not. But I don't think this one is close. I think this is Denilson running away with it. He was a blur as a player in his prime. Well, that's what his time in MLS was as well, a blur. It was 2 step overs and he was gone. Denilson moves on easily to the semifinals. And I just have to say, I am a little surprised that among these signings, I want to give a shout out and honorable mention to Yuri Djorkaeff, who we saw in 2006 in the World Cup.
That's
not
right.
playing for France, but watching the game in the stands while his team in Major League Soccer was on the field. I don't know. I'm just saying. Maybe honorable mention. That's all.
And you wonder where people get the retirement league image from. It's certainly acts like that. Denilson, how about these stats? He played 8 games, got paid $900,000 and scored 1 goal. It was via a penalty kick. All right, so that gives us our 2 semifinals. Herc, you're going to get the first one. It is Lothar Matthäus against Denilson. Who was a worse signing?
It is just tough because Denilson, if you look at what he was as a player in his prime before coming to Major League Soccer, you would have had high expectations for him. But Lothar Matthäus came over here at 39 years old. There was all these crazy rumors about the amount of salary he was getting. People were saying he was making over $1 million, which in that time was unheard of. This penthouse in New York. You had him going to Saint-Tropez with his girlfriend. Everything that happened on the field, he didn't care. He almost treated it as secondary. It has to be Lothar Matthäus, despite what Denilson may have promised.
Lothar Matthäus then into the final. Okay, Ala, the second semifinal is all yours. We've got Frank Lampard and Rafa Marquez, a classic. Who was worse?
Rafa Marquez. And I don't think it's close. Rafa Marquez, even if he played more games or didn't play more games, was he more productive? Was he less productive? It's the images that you have from Rafa Marquez, and all the images that you have from Rafa Marquez in Major League Soccer is him thinking that he was above all of this, that he was far better than all of this that was going on in Major League Soccer, and the attitude and petulance that he had out on the field that came to fruition and came to show up in the worst times in the playoffs, where once again his teams came up short of the expectations. For me, Rafa Marquez, in so many different ways, went far above his responsibility and his place in the league to disrespect Major League Soccer. And that in itself, I think it's a sign of a really, really bad signing. And he did not leave a good taste in Major League Soccer. And nobody that you speak to in Major League Soccer about Rafa Marquez will have a lot of positive things to say.
All right, as a DC United fan, I have to say that having an all-New York final very much makes me happy. One is a MetroStar, one is a Red Bull. Rafa Marquez, Lothar Matthäus. Herc, who is the worst signing in MLS history?
For me, it's Rafa Marquez, because if you look at Lothar Matthäus, he'd been there, done that. 39 years old, he's at tail end of his career. You almost expected that kind of, not necessarily treatment toward his teammates, but you knew you weren't going to get the best out of him. Rafa Marquez is coming out of Barcelona at a very good age. I thought we were going to get more from Rafa Marquez, more for that salary. I thought we were going to hear more of Rafa Marquez on the field, but it was indiscipline. It was red card. It was the bashing of his teammates. It was being on a team where a huge global star like Thierry Henry didn't act this way, and you did. Rafa Marquez takes it.
All right, Ale, you know the deal. If you disagree with Herc, I get a vote. Are you going to give me one?
Well, why not? If Seb, this is why you put this segment together. You want to have your say so why not? I disagree in the sense that I would have had Denilson make it all the way to the final, because I thought that he was, I'm telling you, I'm not exaggerating when I say he was 2 step overs and gone from Major League Soccer. That's exactly what he was. So I would have had Denilson in the final. Given that Denilson is not in, I'm going to take Lothar Matthäus because, well, I would have loved to have been in Central Bay, but I wasn't. And so with a little bit of jealousy, I'm going to say Lothar Matthäus is the worst sign.
All right. You put the pressure on me, boys. It kills me to do this, but I got to go Rafa Marquez. I think it's pretty clear. You get more playoff red cards than goals, and I know he wasn't a goal scorer, but still. And as you mentioned, he played 2 World Cups after leaving MLS, so it's not like he didn't have anything left in the tank, Herc.
He won 2 league championships at Leon right after that. 2 back-to-back right after that.
Yeah,
hey,
so
another honorable mention. Branco wasn't very good either.
Branco wasn't very good. Hey, I don't know that we should call it honorable mention, but there's like a 30-name list that's the dishonorable mention of this category that just didn't make it into the top 8. For those guys, I would say I'm sorry, but I think they'd rather be left out than included.
I can't believe you put Freddy in here.
Well, thank you very much for watching ESPN on YouTube. For more sports highlights and analysis, be sure to download the ESPN app. And for live streaming, premium content, and let's not forget as well, ESPN FC 7 days a week. Subscribe to ESPN+.